morning, everyone. Welcome back to my kitchen, Cooking with Carol Diane. It's a grand day in Colorado today. Today is a green day, and what does that mean? St. Patrick's Day. Yep. Leprechaun is making his rounds, and today is one that I'm going to be making some recipes for this day in keeping with all the green. I'm all festive with green of my St. Patrick's Day scarf and green shirt and my little apron that is shamrocks on there, so I'm set to go. Spring is in the air, and even though yesterday it rained a little bit, we're supposed to have snow today, but I haven't seen anything of it. I was very busy yesterday putting up a fence for my dogs, a little picket fence, and trying to get it all painted, but I didn't get it all done because of the rain. So maybe after my videos I can jump back on and get on that fence a little bit more in between. But today I wanted to show a couple of little things, and I'm going to start with my salad. This is an all-time favorite salad. It's the lime Jello salad, and I always liked it. Anytime I went to any function, like if it was a church function or a potluck of any kind and they brought this particular dish, I really liked it. So I'm going to show you how simple it is to put it together. So I'll start with my salad. I'm going to move right on into showing you my simple little corned beef and cabbage, how I prepare it. And then I'll go into the dessert that I'm going to have. I'll also, I think, show you in between how I'm going to set my table for St. Patrick's Day. Maybe that'll give you a couple of ideas for your day today. And because it's all green today, nobody's going to pinch me. Well, nobody's around anyway, but I'm not going to get pinched because I've got green on, but it's a lucky day. It really is. I just found out that my son's girlfriend, I think it was her niece that she said just had a baby. And so that was great. That was lucky today. And so I wish her well. And so let's start in. First of all, you can get you a bowl. And the very first thing that you're going to need are some gelatin packets here. You're going to need 3 different kinds. Now, normally you could start in with just one, but I'm doing this recipe just a little bit different. So we're going to start in with the lime Jello, and these are the 3-ounce packages, just the smaller ones, not the big ones. You're going to go ahead and put the whole thing of the lime Jello in, just a bowl. Like I said, this is one of my favorites. Then you're going to take a lemon Jello packet and stick that in there. You're going to say, well, that's an awful lot of Jello. Yeah, it is. It is. But the taste is what's so good. Really, really good. I like the fun different holidays of different things. You know, St. Patrick's Day may not mean anything to some people, but other people, they go all out. They really do. If you're Irish, oh my gosh, they go all out. Then you're going to take some unflavored gelatin and stick that in. The luck of the Irish, where they're drinking their famous beer and having a good time. This package has 4 of them in there. I'm only going to use one. Just one of the unflavored. Okay, you can mix that around just a little bit in here. That going. A little piece of paper in there for some reason. Okay, then what you need to do is take, it's kind of a mix it all in one bowl. So the very first thing I'm going to take is some, I use Eagle brand sweetened condensed milk, and you need the full can of that in here. Every bit of that. Stick all that in there. Look at that stuff. That's going to make it nice and sweet, isn't it? We need our leprechaun to be sweet. Like I said, he's kind of jumping around from here to there. Hopefully bringing good luck to people with his little pot of gold that he carries. A little pot of gold he carries. Okay, that's the first part. Then you're going to need 1 cup of mayonnaise, regular mayonnaise. Stick all that in there. And then you're going to need 2 cups of cottage cheese. Any cottage cheese, but I kind of like the bigger curd of the cottage cheese. I've always bought the bigger ones. Stick that in there. And then you're going to take 2 cups, doesn't matter at what time you do this, 2 cups of the boiling water. Put that in there. And you're going to need some crushed pineapple, and you're going to need about 1 cup of that. And yes, you might want to drain off just a little bit of the juice. Let's see here. See how much juice is in this. There's quite a bit of juice in there, isn't there? But we need 1 cup. I'm guessing right now that that's 1 cup. Kind of smash it down. Look at how much juice comes out of that pineapple. My gosh. But you don't want to waste all of it. So you're okay with just a little bit in there. Now let's measure and kind of see if this is 1 cup that I got in here. Pretty close, aren't I? Pretty close. Unless you like a lot of pineapple, then you could add that whole can. But for this recipe, I'm just going with the 1 cup. 1 cup of that in there. Mix all this around. Now your lime Jell-O in here, which mine didn't do a whole lot of making it real green, but it'll make it kind of a pastel green in here, and that's all right. That's what we want. Starting to get their green a little bit here. You're going to need a 9 by 13 pan. I just grabbed this one today. And you're going to lightly spray the pan with some cooking spray, because you don't want this to stick on the bottom when you're ready to get it out. You're going to chill this a good 2 hours. That's why I've started with this to begin with. I want this one to begin the process of setting up in the refrigerator before anything. Now, I always kind of like a little bit of walnuts in mine, so I've chopped up about 1/2 cup of walnuts, and we'll stick those in there. That'll make it taste real good. If you don't like nuts in it, then leave them out, but really, it does make it taste good. Now, after this is set up in the refrigerator, and just about the time that I'm ready to bring it out and start cutting the little squares, is when I will take a lemon and a lime and I will zest and put that on top of this mixture. And that makes it real festive. Pour it all in the bowl. Now, how easy was that? How easy was that? That's the beginning to the St. Patrick's Day dinner, is the lime Jell-O salad. So I'll be back to show you the next step to my dinner. Okay, I'm back to the second part of my St. Patty's Day dinner that I'm going to be preparing, and hopefully it'll give you some ideas of how to make yours this year. So, corned beef. Okay, what is corned beef? Well, it is brisket, first of all. And what is brisket? Brisket is like a big roast that you buy at the grocery store, but a corned beef starts out as the brisket, but then it is brined and cured first. When it's brined and cured, this allows for the beautiful presence of its vibrant red color. Brine is a solution of salt and water, some spices, and flavoring. It takes about 5 to 7 days to brine meat. So brisket is the cut that makes the corned beef a prime cut of the largest part of the breast part of your chest part area of your beef, of your cattle. Usually weighing about 10 pounds. Now my corned beef is almost 5 pounds. And what I'm going to do, I usually do this in my oven. I mean, year after year, I've always done mine the oven method, but today I'm going to do it in the crock pot, very much like I did last year when I went to visit my sister, saying hi out there to my sister and wish you were here making it with me again, because it was so much fun to make that video. It really was. It was just a hoot. If you're doing this in your oven, you know, set your oven to 325 and allow for a good 2 hours or more, depending on your corned beef. But today I'm going to be doing mine in my crock pot on high. And so what I'll do is I will set my corned beef in the crock pot now. Just step that down in there. Now with corned beef, when you buy it, no matter what size it is, you get a little, this one's pretty tiny, a little package of seasonings. Now, the seasonings, if you don't have it in there, because I have bought corned beef and the seasonings aren't in there, and you're thinking, well, now what do I do? What do I put in it? So I'm going to add a little bit more seasoning to this corned beef. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle this on my corned beef, yes. But I'm going to show you how easy it is to make the seasoning from scratch. So to make the seasoning, and I'm just going to use a little tiny spoon here to make just a little bit more. So you would use some ground coriander, which I have. And this one I'll just kind of sprinkle on. Sprinkle that on the meat. And then you're going to use just a little bit of nutmeg. Yep, that's what's in these seasoned packets. Just a little bit of nutmeg in here. A little bit of ginger in there. Of course, some bay leaves. Now, the ones that come in the packet are already crushed up, but you know what? I'm just going to stick 2 of my bay leaves in the pot. Right there. It calls for some thyme. And again, we're just going to do a little dash of the thyme in there. It calls for red pepper flakes. You don't want very much of that in there. Just a little bit. It calls for the black peppercorns. Now, these are pretty tiny in here. These are larger. I could grind these up, but I'm just going to stick a couple of them in there just to have them. Just so you know, that's what it calls for. Some coriander leaves. Crushed leaves, that's always nice to have in there. And it does call for some dried mustard, which I didn't bring. Yeah, I did. I started with my dried mustard. It does call for some dried mustard, and then it calls for some anise seeds, which I didn't seem to have in my cupboard. But at least you know the ingredients are all of those right there. Add some salt and pepper to your meat. Don't get carried away with your salt, because corned beef is a salty meat anyway. Always add pepper in there. Now, corned beef, when you look at it anywhere, of course, you're going to have, it's corned beef and cabbage. We're going to have cabbage, some onion, the potatoes and carrots. But I'm not going to put the potatoes and carrots in my crock pot right at this time, nor am I going to put my cabbage in there. What I am going to start with is, I'll start with some onion. This one happened to get carried away in my back room and start growing on me, but that's all right. I don't care. At least I know it's fresh and active, huh? Yeah. Just kind of take the outer skin off of the onion. Now here again, it's your preference whether if you want a white onion, if you like a yellow onion. You all know me by now that I like a yellow onion. I really do. And just kind of cut it in half and do in long quarter pieces and stick that all around the sides in your crock pot of meat. Whether you're doing this in a big pan to go in the oven, if you wanted to boil yours on the stove, that used to be a big tradition a long time ago too, of grandparents, people like that would boil their corned beef and cabbage. But I'm just going to stick it in there like so. Now, here comes this fun part again of what liquid to put in there. I'm going to take a can of beer, and with this particular one, you can take about 2 cups of beer and put in that crock pot. Now I'm putting that all the way around till it's not submerged in it, but it's definitely all the way around with the beer. And then I'm going to put my lid on the crock pot. It's all in here in this crock pot, which I should have brought over a lot more for you to see, but it's in my crock pot ready to go. The cabbage, when I get ready for my cabbage, and you can do this now, you can get it ready as far as the cabbage. So you take a cabbage, definitely rinse it, make sure it's all nice and clean. I take off the first, anywhere from 2 to 3 of the great big leaves. I go ahead and just take them off and throw them away. This has been at the grocery store, trucks, different things all over the place, and you don't want all of that. So take it all off till you get down to a nice shiny part of your cabbage. I like to take the rind part out. You may like to leave it in, but I go ahead and take it out. So we're just gonna peel this part away and take that out. And then cut it in half, and then cut those pieces in half and just put them in a bowl, because you're going to save that for a little later. Now I won't be adding my vegetables to this until this has cooked almost 2 hours. I want that corned beef to be nice and tender where it almost just falls apart. And that's what it's going to do when I've cooked it. Then I will come back and I will start putting the potatoes and the carrots. And that's pretty simple and easy on that too. I mean, you're just going to peel the potato, and then you're going to cut it in half and cut that in half, maybe quarter it, just enough to go around in your crock pot. Same with the carrots. You're going to slice them on an angle. Go ahead and take the skins off of them and slice those on an angle. And that part I'll be adding in a couple of hours. Then when it's almost about an hour, hour and a half until when I want to start serving my corned beef, that's when I will put the cabbage on top of the corned beef and let it cook in there. But for right now, all I want to do is get this corned beef started while I'm on to other things. So the next little recipe, I've started with my Jell-O salad, which is in the refrigerator, getting nice and chilled and set. Now I've begun the process of getting the corned beef that it's going to start cooking. And always with corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day, you need some Irish soda bread. Now, if you don't want to make it, that's okay. You can buy it at the grocery store. In fact, yesterday I saw the very same thing there. I don't know if it's going to taste the same as homemade. I've never bought one already done at the grocery store, because last year when I made this with my sister, well, she made it, it tasted so good. It's like, I'm going to make that every year. And it's so easy. It really is. So I'll pause this, and the next time you see me, I'll be making the soda bread. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm at part 3 now of making my St. Patrick's Day dinner, and that's the soda bread, the Irish soda bread. And like I said, this is so simple. It really is. You need a little round pan. I happen to have the Irish soda pan to put this in. But if you don't, like I said, any type of a round baking dish will work just fine. Okay, so start with a bowl. And what we're going to put in the bowl first is some flour. And you're going to need 3½ cups of all-purpose flour. Just all-purpose flour. Stick that in first. And then we're going to need 2/3 of a cup of sugar. Put that in next. Then we're going to need a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'll be accurate on the measurements today for you, because usually I don't. Usually I just wing it. Okay, and that's the salt. And then we're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which is right here. Fresh baking soda. Make sure that all of your supplies are fresh. If they've been sitting in the cupboard for quite a while, you know, it might be a good idea to replenish them to make new recipes, or put them in containers like what I do. I'm really finding that this little mason jar for my baking soda and the other glass jar for my the baking powder and the baking soda really does keep it nice. 1 teaspoon of the baking powder. And then you're going to need 2 eggs that are slightly beaten. Just whip them up with a fork, just so that they're beaten just a little bit. Here. Stick that in. And then you're going to need 4 tablespoons of melted butter, which I've already done in here. Stick that in. You need some flavorings, so we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm using the Madagascar vanilla for this recipe. And then we're going to need some raisins. Let me grab them right quick. And you need to have your raisins plumped, and the way to do that is to put, I'm going to use about 1 cup of raisins here, so I put in a good, I don't know, cup and a half of water, maybe not even that much of water. You boil this to make the raisins nice and soft, and then you need to drain that out. You need to drain the water out. So we'll do that. Just drain that out right here in another bowl, so that I have my raisins. They're ready to go. So I'm going to start mixing this just a little bit here. Mix this up. It also calls for some buttermilk. It calls for 1 1/3 cup of buttermilk. Put that in there. And you're really just going to kind of fold all this together nicely. Go ahead and add your raisins to the mix and fold it in. This is a yummy tasting bread. Now this is a little more coarse, dense of a bread. It really is. And that's what you want with your nice corned beef and cabbage. You want a bread that is something you can sink your teeth into. And that's this. The first time I had it homemade, like I said, I don't think I'll ever go back to buying it in the store, because this stuff is so good. It really, really is. You're going to set your oven for 350 degrees. And you're going to cook this bread for about 50 to 60 minutes. Or until you can stick a knife down the middle of it and it comes out clean. Knife or a toothpick. That's what you want. You want this mixed where you can't see that flour in here anymore. That's the main part. So I've started with my Jell-O salad. Then I went into making the corned beef and cabbage in the crock pot, which it's just doing just fine in there. It's going to take several hours, and that's what I want. And in the meantime, now because I'm doing this for the video purposes, I probably wouldn't have made this soda bread until closer to time, but it's all right. I don't care. It's still going to taste good when I bring it out at the dinner table. Okay, that's pretty good. Now take your pan of whatever you have and lightly spray it with cooking spray. And I always, because the cooking sprays that I've been buying here lately, I always like to kind of take a paper towel or a napkin and kind of wipe that around a little bit, because it seems to get everywhere but where I really want. So try that. All right, now we're going to take the soda bread and we're going to put it in this nice little dish. It's all ready for it. So I want to make sure I got that rest of that flour on the bottom of the pan here. We stick that in the pan, all of it. Kind of doing this backwards, but I'll get it in there to show you. We get all of the good stuff in there. My bowl's kind of heavy on me this morning. My arms don't work that well this morning doing all that fence work. Gosh, it's a lot to put up picket fence. You know, the panels are okay, but then we had to go one step farther because I have dachshunds. And I had to put chicken wire all on the bottom of the picket fence because my little 6-month-old dachshund just squeezes. He's my Houdini, and he just squeezed right on through those picket fence panels. And so I thought, oh no, this isn't going to work. So I put the chicken wire and stapled that. That's what kind of took a few minutes to get all that. Okay, now comes the little fun part that you'll take a knife and that you'll make a cross design right on top. And the story behind this is, legend has it that this keeps away the devil and protects your household. You just kind of make that cross effective. Okay, and then you're going to take, let's see if I have the, and I don't. You're going to take some caraway seed and you're going to sprinkle that on top before you put it in the oven and bake it. Just enough to go all on top of the bread. Now I'm putting mine on a small little cookie sheet to put in the oven for 50 to 60 minutes. And that's the soda bread. And I'll catch you in 60 minutes. Back again. Now I'm going to be showing you what I'm having for my dessert to my St. Patrick's Day dinner. I'm going to be cheating just a little bit on the dessert because I have done so many other things and I still have to set my table. I went ahead and instead of making a graham cracker crust, I'm going to use the one that's in here. This is the pecan pie crust, and I'm going to be first starting with some cute little glasses here. I've got 4 set out, but I'll start with the first 2. And I'm going to open this up. And like I said, besides just doing the little graham cracker crust, which I certainly could, It's just if you want something really fast and easy, then try to do this. So now we're gonna take, I'll just take a fork here. And we want to take this and just kind of crumble it up in the pan here, because all I'm after is the bottom of this to make crumbs in the bottom of my little dishes, my little dessert dishes. So just take your fork and kind of just break all this up in here. This is the cheating. This is the fast cheating method. It'll still come out and taste good. Okay? Now we're going to fill my little cups. I said break them up with your hands if you want to. Get them where they're just kind of bite-size in here. Just bite-size. And then we're going to fill each cup. Break them up a little bit more. So you have a nice little bottom edge on everything. Now, depending on who's coming at your table for St. Patty's Day, how many you're serving, I'm doing 4 of these cups, maybe 5. Don't know whether my kids will come have St. Patrick's Day dinner with me or not. I always put the invite out there, but you know, they're always so dang busy that I just don't know. Okay, and I'll leave some for a 5th one. I'm gonna start with 4 right here. Okay, so that's the little bottom crust that we're gonna do. Now take you a bowl, and in the bowl, you're gonna need 2 egg yolks, just the yolks. Get all the whites out and just take that egg yolk. Have I ever made this recipe? No, I haven't. I am trying it live with you today. So if it doesn't come out, it doesn't come out. But we're gonna hope it does. Okay, and then you want to whisk those up a little bit. And pour that into just a bowl. Make sure you get all of it. All of that in there. And then you want to have some condensed milk again. And you're gonna need 1 can of the, well, like I said, the Eagle brand sweetened condensed milk is what I buy. Pour that in. Gonna be quite yummy, I think. I hope. Where do I get my recipes? All over the place. Whether I'm hunting in my recipe box, whether a friend says, oh, you gotta try this, whatever, I'm getting my recipes all over the place. Okay, now you're going to need a 1/2 cup of lime juice. I tried to get a big bottle like this, but I just couldn't find one. So when all else fails, you get the little ones, and that's okay. It works too. Just squeeze out. Probably should have done this beforehand. You can use fresh lime juice also, take any limes, but right now, limes are up to 66 cents a piece. And truly, they're even smaller than the ones I put here. They're just little tiny things. They used to be 50 cents, now they've gone up to 66 cents. Each. Just crazy. Crazy how the economy is doing right now, how food prices, everything's affecting something. It's just a trickling effect on down the line. It really is. My soda bread is in the oven and it has 34 minutes more to cook. Such a good bread. It really is. I'm excited about that. I apologize for this. I should have started on this a little sooner. It's all right. And I'm not too worried if I don't have quite a half a cup either. I'm really not. Add that much to it. And then we're going to need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in this mixture. There's 1. There's 2 of that. And I'll get my whisk over here. I'm gonna whisk that up here. Now, having the condensed milk and then having the egg yolks in here will thicken this up. You're going to be chilling this, so it's going to go in the refrigerator just like my lime Jell-O salad is. Now, I'm not going to flavor this by adding food color. This is a nice, just kind of a lemon color, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it that color. I will top this with little wedges of the lemon and lime slices, but I'm not going to color it. You can if you want to. You can add some green food coloring if you want to. Let's taste this. Woo! That, it's a little tart, but sweet and good. It really is. Very sweet and nice. And then you're just going to want to pour equal amounts of this into your little cups. All on here. And again, we're going to refrigerate this for a couple hours in here because it's still morning. We're working on afternoon anyway. I've got plenty of time to have this chill and come out fine in the refrigerator. Yeah, won't this be a fun little different dessert? I like different things, you know. I like to make fun little different things, and this is one of them. Okay, so that's that part, and I'll be right back in just a few minutes. I'm back on for a few minutes to show you that the soda bread is out of the oven. Doesn't this look nice? I like to take some nice soft butter. The second it comes out of the oven, and baste it with that so that it is nice and soft on the top here. Smells wonderful. It really does. The caraway seeds make for a nice flavor on top when you bite into it. Lots of good raisins in there popping through. And like I said, if you don't have the Irish pan, the soda pan, that's okay. Just put it in whatever you have. It's still going to come out. It really is. So that's the soda bread, and the beginning of my video is the lime Jell-O salad, and it's set up really nice in the refrigerator. I jiggled it and made sure, so it's going to be fine for tonight. And then my little dessert cups, they're setting up just fine in the refrigerator also. My corned beef is still in the crock pot, and like I said, I won't be adding my vegetables for a little while. I'll probably pop back on at the end of my video now and show you that I have added my vegetables in there. It has finished cooking, and then I'll show you the final product probably on my table that I have decorated. So I hope you're enjoying my little video that I'm showing St. Patrick's Day simple and easy meal, simple and easy little recipes anybody can do. Don't sweat it. And you can still have a nice corned beef and cabbage traditional dinner on St. Patrick's Day. Husband is chopping at the bit right now. He had to fly on an airplane this morning, and he's missing my dinner, and he said it's one of his favorites to have corned beef and cabbage. So maybe next time on that. So I'll be back. I will. Stay tuned. I'm back for the final presentation of my corned beef and cabbage St. Patrick's Day dinner. I have taken it out of the crock pot, and I have put all the vegetables in just a bowl, from, you know, the cabbage to the nice potatoes to the nice carrots in here. Everything is soft and lovely. My corned beef just falls apart, and that is what I wanted. See that nice pink meat of the corned beef? That's what I wanted. Was it just to kind of fall off of there, and that's what it's doing. My soda bread turned out great. I can't wait to slice that. I'm having my guests come in about 20 minutes, so I'm kind of excited about that. Hope they like my dinner tonight. And stay tuned for, always watch clear to the end of my videos, because that's where I've been posting just regular pictures of the final product. So you'll see up close the soda bread, you'll see my Jell-O salad, and you'll see the dessert. So I hope you've enjoyed watching my video today, step by step, from the salad to the dessert to making the meal to setting the table. I've incorporated it all for you today. I hope you have a wonderful, happy St. Patrick's Day. Let's pray for all the unfortunate people in Ukraine. They're not getting a Thanksgiving dinner, so keep that in mind today. I do pray for them. And let's hope that this ends of all this destruction in the world, and we get on to a better place for all of us. From my kitchen to yours, this is Cooking with Carol Diane. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye now.